Important segments that I'm going to cover in this video. This is going to be a very detailed video. So overall, I don't have any complaints with the design, except for one. I mean, we'll talk about it. It's the front part. The only thing that I feel they could have done better was the design of the windscreen on the front. I feel it is too short. I find this instrument console to be very premium. I don't know why. So it has some sort of reflective pigment, in them. Which makes the visibility even better when sunlight is falling on the cluster. Overall, the build quality is excellent everywhere. I have no questions, no complaints about the build quality. It is just excellent. So let's get on with the next part. We'll talk about the performance of this bike. Okay, so for a 250cc bike, the performance is amazing. I would say the engine revs freely. You can take it all the way to 10,000 rpm and you would barely feel any sort of vibrations on the handlebar when the bike is moving, of course, not in neutral. So overall, the engine is very peppy. I would say it accelerates very quickly, and for a 250cc bike, the engine performance is pretty much, amazing. I mean, there's no complaints, there's nothing that I have, no gripe I have about the engine, how the engine performs. So yeah, so a couple of things though. I mean, especially like if I talk about this gearbox, I find that the gear shifting is a bit rough. It's a bit hard and it's a bit rough, and it gets rougher as I approach my servicing interval. So I don't know about that, but I googled about it, and most of the Gixxer users, they were complaining about hard gear shifting. So that is about the gear shifts. I mean, I find the gear shifting to be a bit rough than I would have liked. One thing that bugs me a lot is that the chain makes a lot of noise. I mean, when I lube it for like a few hundred kilometers, like 150 kilometers, it works very nice and silently, but after that it starts making too much noise. I mean, it's very annoying. So that is one thing. I mean, I wish, I don't know why it makes so much noise. I mean, I lube it properly, I do everything well, I know that the chain is not rusting or anything, it looks very nice, but still, I mean, I get a bit annoyed with the chain, with the amount of chain noise that this chain makes. Apart from that, one more thing is that the horn is a bit meek. But I know, I mean, it's based on government regulations, because horns, they produce too much noise, right? And it's okay. So in city, you don't really have a problem with it, and I don't really honk the horn that much. But on highways, this meek kind of horn, it is here, by the way. I hope you can see. So this meek horn, it actually has pretty much no effect on vehicles. So because on highway the noise is more, right? Like the ambient surrounding noise is more. So this horn pretty much has no effect on highways. On cities it is fine, but yeah. So I find the horn to be a bit inadequate on highways. So yeah, that was another thing performance wise. Let's talk about brakes. Brakes are one important aspect that we should cover. So brakes, the front disc size is 300 mm. Size wise it is good. Overall braking performance is also good, I would say, but I felt that the front brake bite, at least, it is not really adequate. I mean, the thing is, what I mean by bite is that I expect that because these are hydraulically actuated, right? So I expect that with two fingers I should be able to at least get that initial bite on the front brake, right? But I don't get that. I mean, I actually have to use my full hand, all of the fingers, to apply the brake properly. If I have to aggressively brake the bike to stop or something, I have to actually use all of my fingers, and that is what I mean. I mean, overall it is fine, it stops just as well without any hesitation or issues, but I feel that I have to apply a lot more power to stop it with all of my fingers. This is something that I feel could have been better. The same thing with rear brake. I mean, so the thing is, rear brake, it kind of locks up very quickly. That is different from the front brake, but that's what it is. I mean, the rear brake tends to lock up fairly quickly. I mean, so that's what, even the rear brake has a bit less usable power, I would say. So yeah, that was about the brakes. Overall, brakes are okay. They could have been better, especially the front one, but they're okay. I mean, you will get used to it as the thing. Initially, you might feel that the bite is less and all, but you will very quickly get used to it, and once you have the hang of it, it all gets normal, you know. So that was about it about the brakes. Let's talk about the lights. So initially I felt that the lights were good, right? Let me turn it on again. So the tail light is just amazing. I don't even have to show you or tell you anything. The tail light is just amazing design, how it looks, everything. The front, the headlight, I initially found it to be good. I found it to be adequate. But yeah, I mean, lately I've been doing a couple of rides, you know, in the night, and that is when I found that the front headlight, like the headlight was a bit inadequate. I don't know. I mean, it has a good beam distance, but intensity wise it is a bit lacking is what I found. So I was thinking of getting some aftermarket aux lights installed on this, but yeah, that's something that has to be noted. Lately I've been finding this headlight to be a bit low in intensity at night, you know. And all the LEDs are working. I mean, the front part which is not working, which is for the high beam, actually all the LEDs are working, nothing is short or anything. So yeah, that is something to be noted. To me at least, the intensity is a bit less than what I would have liked. So yeah, let's talk about the exhaust sound, and I'll also let me put it to neutral, and I'll let you guys hear the exhaust sound, and you guys can decide how the exhaust sound at low RPMs. What I have found is that the exhaust sounds just like a smaller capacity motorcycle, but as you tend to rev it harder, it becomes a different beast altogether, I would say. I mean, the sound that it produces is just amazing. Okay, I'm gonna rev it now so you guys can hear it. I hope you can hear it. Right, this is how the exhaust sounds. At higher RPMs, when you're moving, of course, not in neutral, I really like how the exhaust sounds. At lower RPMs, it sounds like a smaller capacity bike. So that's something to be noted. If exhaust sound is your thing, that this is something that you have to note. Let's come to the suspension now. So suspension, I have found the front suspension is good. It is I would say on the softer side, the front suspension, but the rear suspension is kind of opposite to that. I found the rear suspension to be, at least in its default, I think 4 settings, it is 7-step adjustable, and by default it comes at the 4th step, set at the 4th step. I feel that at that you know, factory setting that we get, the rear suspension is a bit too hard for me. I mean, it's a bit too hard for me. It makes all the potholes that you know, the rear wheel goes over, it makes all of them evident. Everything will feel in your butt, I mean. So the rear suspension is on the harder side, the front one is on the softer side. That's something to be noted. You can adjust the rear suspension to a softer side too, if you want. I mean, it's 7-step adjustable, as I said, and it comes from the factory at step 4. So if you want to make it softer, you can do that. I haven't done that, but yeah, that's something to be noted. By default, the rear one is on the harder side. The chassis, I think it is 2 millimeters thicker. The chassis or the frame, whatever you want to call it, is 2 millimeters thicker than the 155 variant that you get of this SF, Gixxer SF. So one thing to note is that it is a diamond type frame, which I'd say is like the budget form of a perimeter frame. Perimeter frame is something, for example, what you get on the R15 or the Pulsar series, RS series. So it comes with a diamond frame, which is a budget form of that perimeter frame. I haven't felt anything you know, lacking in this frame. Also, I know that in terms of stiffness there's a you know, difference in terms of perimeter frame and this diamond frame, but honestly I haven't felt any difference. I mean, so that depends on the rider. I mean, I haven't felt anything. I haven't felt anything lacking with the frame or the chassis. So yeah, that was There's one thing. So why I told about this chassis is because again a lot of people miss this. The chassis is a budget form of perimeter frame. This is again a cost cutting measure, but I don't think you'll feel any difference, in my honest opinion. In 1 year of my riding, I haven't felt anything lacking with the chassis. So yeah, that is something. Coming to the swing arm also, this is also a budget swing arm, I would say, because it is not cast aluminum or something. It is a box type swing arm, if you can see, right. This is a box type swing arm, and this is also a cost cutting measure, I mean, because these are easier to manufacture, but again they have more flex than your cast aluminum swing arms that you get. But again, I mean, it's not something that I have noticed in the last 1 year, and I don't really have any complaints with it. So yeah, okay, yeah. So let's come to the oil cooler that is installed on this bike. So a lot of people, they are obsessed with the on paper specifications of anything. I mean, it's not just bikes, and they don't really test the thing in the real world to determine like whether it is worthy or not. So the same thing was with this oil cooler also, that they have installed, that Suzuki has installed on this Gixxer. People were saying lots of things about how they didn't go ahead with a liquid cooled engine, and they installed oil cooler, to save costs and things like that. I would say just take a test ride. I mean, take a longer test ride if you have to. Rev the nuts out of the engine, and you'll realize, I mean, this oil cooler is just amazing. Not once in my whole 1 year of riding have I ever felt heat on my legs. Have I ever felt that the engine stalled due to overheat? Not at one instance have I felt that. And I recently came to know that there is a small fan also, installed somewhere here behind the oil cooler, which actually kicks in when the engine starts to overheat. And I didn't know that, up till an year of, till when I owned this bike. Why? Because it never kicked in. So you have to realize how good, how efficient this oil cooling is. The engine never overheated. And I ride in Bangalore city traffic here. You have to realize that. So this oil cooler is amazing. You don't really need a liquid cooler in this engine. It's just amazing. It does the job really well. You have to think in terms of practicality. I mean, in the real world, this oil cooler is just amazing. No questions about that. And of course, I mean, from a maintenance point of view, it is a lot cheaper because you don't have to care about the coolant, topping of the coolant, stuff like that. You don't have to care about that. One component goes away from your maintenance list. So I am very much satisfied. I mean, it's excellent whatever they've done, with this oil cooling technology. Whatever they've done it very, they've done a very excellent job at it. Really good. So with the cooling, I am very much satisfied. As I've said, I've never ever felt in my 1 year of riding any sort of heat on my legs. I've never felt the engine overheating or anything. It's really good in terms of cooling. So yeah, now I feel I have covered everything from a performance point of view. Right, let's talk a bit about the speed. I mean, people say that the top end is a bit weak on this bike. So I don't know. I mean, again, if you talk from a real world point of view, you are not going to take it anywhere over 120 also, I would say. I mean, you cannot sustain that much speed for a longer duration. And I have so on one of my runs, I have actually taken it till 150. It reached 150 on the speedometer, and that was the top speed that I have achieved till now. And that is decent. I mean, that's what I'm saying. From a real world point of view, you cannot sustain speeds over 120 for a long time. And for a bike which is going till 150 and which is actually comfortably cruising at 120 kilometers per hour, effortlessly, that is really good. I mean, and if it can go till 150, I would say it's amazing. I mean, 150 is like the upper limit that you get on most of the bikes of this segment. So yeah, I have no complaints about the top speed again with the top end of this bike. 150 is just amazing for me. I don't know what people are expecting with the higher top end, but I do not have any complaints with the top speed or the top end of this bike. To me, it's amazing. So there's this something called Suzuki Okay, this was from the features list. Okay, I have missed this there. I forgot about it. This is something that I really like and I find it very convenient. This is called Suzuki Easy Start System. What it basically means is that when you want to start the bike, right? This is an EFI bike. It's fuel injected. So when you want to start the bike, you don't really have to keep the starter button pressed till the time the engine comes to life. This is Suzuki Easy Start System. You just have to press it once like a switch, and that Easy Start System, whatever computer is monitoring that, it is going to take care of starting the starting the starter motor for you, keep it running for it till the time the engine comes to life, and then turning it off. So I'll show you. You just have to press it once like a switch. I'm going to start the engine, so I hope you can see. I'll just press it like a button once, and the Easy Start System is going to take care of starting the bike. Right, I press the clutch. Just like this. You just have to press it once. I know it might seem like just another bike right now, because the engine just started immediately. But let's say you're doing a cold start or something, when the engine takes like 2 or 3 seconds to come up, that is where you'll see the difference. You just have to press that starter button once, and then whatever control unit is going to take care of keeping the starter motor running for the amount of time the engine comes to life. It is just amazing, very convenient. So yeah, so that, I think I have covered everything about the performance of this bike. Overall, I'm pretty much satisfied with the performance, except for the couple of things that I told about the chain and gearbox and all. So yeah, let's talk about the tires also. I mean, I missed the tires. So the tires are MRF Revs series tires. The rear one is 150 section, the front one is 110 section, and the dry grip of these tires is absolutely amazing. So I'm talking about the dry grip here, okay? So that is something to be noted. The dry grip of these tires is amazing. You can very confidently lean on these tires, right? They are very wide, very grippy on dry surfaces. You can absolutely lean on these tires very confidently. I mean, you'll feel very confident while leaning, but that cannot be said on wet surfaces. I've faced this multiple times. On wet surfaces, these tires tend to slip very quickly. You should not lean on these tires, not brake aggressively on these tires when you're riding on wet surfaces. It's just not confidence inspiring. I mean, these tires are not good for wet surfaces. This is what I felt. I've had multiple occasions where the bike was about to slip on the wet surface, but I just kind of managed it at the last moment. So dry surface, absolutely amazing. Wet surface, no. And yeah, so another thing to note is that these are something what I called medium compound tires. Okay, why medium compounds I'm saying is, you won't notice it once the tire gets old, but on a new tire, when you touch the surface of the tire, you'll find it that it's very kind of soft. So that soft tire actually that softness of the tire actually enables you to grip on the road properly. So that is what I mean. It's not too soft like Metzeler's or anything, and it's not too hard like the Seat tires that you get for a cheaper price. So these are medium compound tires, which are a bit on the softer side, and they will have, because of this, they will have more grip on the road but a bit lesser life. They'll have lesser life because of the softness. They are going to wear out quickly. So that was about the tires. I do not like how they perform on wet surfaces. I wish they were better. But on dry surfaces, absolutely fantastic. You can do whatever the hell you want on dry surfaces with them. So yeah, this was about the performance. Let's also talk about the windshield. Since we are on the performance point, the stock windshield does nothing. Till 90 kilometers per hour, I'd say that it's okay. You won't find any you will be comfortable with whatever wind blasts you're facing, but after 90 kilometers per hour, the wind blast kind of becomes excessive. I mean, you'll start getting uncomfortable. So I mean, that is why I have installed this kind of visor extension on this windshield to help reduce that a little bit. I'll probably make a video on this too, if you guys are interested. But yeah, the stock windshield, this stock small windshield, after 90 kmph, it just doesn't provide any sort of wind resistance or anything. everything you'll feel on your chest, on your helmet, all the wind blast. It doesn't provide any sort of wind blast protection. So this is one thing. I know most of the people have issues with this windscreen. Is the most common issue with this bike, but yeah, it was something to be included. So yeah, now I feel we have covered everything from a performance point of view. Let us go to the comfort point now. So from comfort, I'll say that the foot pegs are actually very nicely set. I mean, they are center set, what you call them. The legs are not too much on the front, not too much at the back. They are not too bent. Let me sit on the bike and show you. So okay, I am on the bike back again. So what I'm saying about the foot pegs is that they are center set, that your legs don't bend too much behind when they have to, when you have to sit on the bike, right? And depending on how you want to sit, you can actually be a lot more comfortable like this. I can actually put my heel on the foot peg and my legs will be bent the least and will be most comfortable. Or if I want to ride sportily, I can actually put my toes on the bike, on the foot peg, and my legs will be like in a more aggressive riding position. So I find the foot peg positioning perfect. No issues with the foot peg. Both the gear lever as well as the rear brake lever, they're adjustable. Based on your leg position, you can adjust them to give you the most comfort, I'd say. So this is something good. The foot pegs are set absolutely, well. There's no complaints that I have about the foot pegs. I can't say the same about the seat though, because I find the seat to be very hard. It is too hard for my liking. I wish the seat was softer. Over long rides, I would say, the seat is going to prove uncomfortable for you. It is for me. I mean, I find the seat to be too uncomfortable on long rides. I'm thinking of getting some padding done on the seat, but yeah, that is what it is. What comes from the factory. The seat is a bit on the harder side. The rear seat is okay for if you just want to go for like 2-3 kilometers, that is fine. On longer rides, rear seat is no. Rear seat is going to be too much uncomfortable. I mean, it's too less in terms of padding, and it is too hard. It is too small. So it's like everything that a seat should not be. So the rear seat is not comfortable. You can make do for smaller, kilometers or smaller distances, but for longer rides, no. Rear seat is not good at all. I use it for mounting tank bag, as you would have seen. So in terms of comfort, overall it's okay. I mean, the foot pegs, I like really how they're positioned in. Front seat I wish could have been better in terms of cushioning. Rear seat is no. You cannot be comfortable on the rear seat, no matter how small the person is. So yeah, that was about the comfort. Let's talk about the handlebar positioning also. So the handlebar, I like how the handlebars are laid out. These clip-ons, although these are clip-ons, they are slightly raised. You see, they are raised, I would say, at least 2 inches. So because of these raised clip-ons, your riding position is actually not that aggressive, so you are sitting a bit leaning forward, but you're not too much lean forward like an R15 or RC bikes. So that helps you, with your comfort. If you're doing long rides, it helps you with your comfort. You will not be strained, your wrist will not be strained. You'll be comfortable on longer rides. It's also, and because these are clip-ons, these are not too high, you still get a little bit of a sporty riding position, and that is good too. I mean, so it's like you get the best of both worlds, I'd say. So this was about the comfort. Now I think I've covered everything about the comfort now. Comfort, aspect of this bike. Let us talk about I think it was reliability, which was next, right? Initially it was just aesthetics. I do not like how Suzuki service centers operate.